A Komodo dragon does not need to kill its prey. It only needs to touch it. That single bite, even a glancing one, sets something irreversible in motion. The dragon withdraws. The prey runs. And then the dragon simply follows. For hours. Sometimes days. The animal that was bitten will weaken, stagger, and eventually fall. The Komodo dragon will be waiting. This is a creature built entirely around patience and precision. The largest lizard on Earth. A relic from a world most species did not survive. And yet here it stands, on a handful of small Indonesian islands, almost unchanged for millions of years. The Komodo dragon, Varanus komodoensis, reaches lengths of 3 meters and weights exceeding 70 kilograms. Its body is armored with small, bead-like scales called osteoderms, each containing a tiny piece of bone. These are not decorative. They function like chainmail, a natural suit of armor that protects the animal from its own kind. Because Komodo dragons do attack each other. Frequently. They live on 5 islands in the Lesser Sunda archipelago: Komodo, Rinca, Flores, Gili Matang, and Padar. Their total wild population numbers around 3,000 to 4,000. In such confined territory, competition is unavoidable. They fight over food, over space, over dominance. A dominant dragon at a carcass will drive younger, smaller ones back with a combination of size, hissing, and sheer aggression. But it is not their aggression that makes them extraordinary. It is their biology. For decades, scientists believed Komodo dragons killed through bacterial infection. Their mouths, it was assumed, harbored such a toxic concentration of bacteria from feeding on carrion that a bite alone would condemn a victim to slow septic death. This made intuitive sense. These are animals that eat rotting meat, that rarely clean their teeth, that carry the remains of previous meals between their jaws. The truth, discovered only in 2009, was more elegant and more disturbing. Komodo dragons have venom glands. 2 of them, seated in the lower jaw, producing a complex chemical cocktail that prevents blood from clotting and causes blood pressure to collapse. When they bite, venom seeps into the wound through grooves along their teeth. The prey begins to bleed internally. Shock follows. And the dragon waits. The tongue does much of the preliminary work. It is long, deeply forked, and perpetually active, flicking out to collect chemical particles from the air and ground, then pressing them against a sensory organ in the roof of the mouth called the Jacobson's organ. This is chemoreception, a sense somewhere between smell and taste, refined over millions of years. A Komodo dragon can detect the scent of blood on the wind from distances of up to 9 kilometers. It does not search randomly. It navigates with intention. Watch one hunt, and patience becomes a different word entirely. These animals can sprint at 20 kilometers per hour in short bursts. But they rarely need to. A deer, a wild boar, a water buffalo, animals that vastly outweigh the dragon, will often not flee during the initial approach. The dragon moves low and slow, tongue working the air. Then it strikes with explosive speed, targeting the leg or the throat. Then it retreats and waits for the clock to run down. Buffalo, because of their size, can survive bites for days. Researchers have documented water buffalo showing bite wounds, wandering kilometers from the attack site, and then being found dead, with the attending dragon arriving at the carcass within hours. The tracking ability is that precise. The patience is that absolute. Feeding, when it finally comes, is spectacular in its efficiency. A Komodo dragon can consume 80% of its body weight in a single meal. Its jaws are loosely articulated, allowing them to open wide enough to engulf large chunks whole. Flexible ribs permit the stomach to expand dramatically. The dragon gorges until it can barely move, then retreats somewhere warm to digest. Metabolism does the rest, slowly, over days. Thermoregulation is behaviorally controlled. Like all reptiles, they are ectothermic, relying on external heat to regulate internal temperature. In the morning, they bask. In the heat of midday, they seek shade. Movement is calibrated to conserve energy. A dragon that has just fed may not need to hunt again for a month. Or longer. This metabolic efficiency is part of what has made them survivors. The islands they inhabit offer limited resources. Animals that demand constant high-calorie intake cannot persist here. The Komodo dragon has evolved to need very little, and to extract everything from what it takes. Young dragons face a different set of pressures. Hatchlings emerging from eggs buried in the earth receive no parental care whatsoever. They are also potential prey, for other predators, and for adult Komodo dragons. Cannibalism is documented and common. Young dragons spend their early years in trees, where adults, too heavy to climb, cannot easily reach them. They feed on insects, small lizards, birds. Survival through those first years requires luck as much as ability. Those that survive grow into something formidable. Something with no natural predators. Something that has occupied the apex position in its ecosystem for millennia. And then there is this. In 2006, researchers at Chester Zoo discovered that a female Komodo dragon named Flora had laid a clutch of fertile eggs. She had never been in contact with a male. The eggs hatched. The offspring were genetically hers alone, a process called parthenogenesis, where an unfertilized egg develops into a complete, living organism. This had been observed in other reptile species, but never before confirmed in Komodo dragons. It changed everything. A single female, isolated on an island with no males present, can establish a population. Alone. She produces male offspring through parthenogenesis. Those males mature and mate with her. A colony forms from nothing. From one animal. The Komodo dragon is not simply an apex predator. Not simply a biological relic. Not simply a remarkable example of evolutionary adaptation. It is an animal with the capacity, written into its own genetics, to begin again. 3,000 to 4,000 remain in the wild. The islands are protected. The species is listed as endangered. And yet, encoded in its own DNA, it carries something almost like a contingency. A last resort. A quiet, ancient insurance against extinction. The patience with which it hunts is the same patience it carries. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe for more incredible facts.